Discover Joyous Love. I'm your host, Anita DeFrancesco. Mondays with Anita, but today is Tuesday. I'm in Vero Beach, Florida. So I thought I'd just give you an impromptu here for one of my future topics. We're talking about truth and presence and how we attain and sustain oneness and how oneness is a wisdom. So Vero Beach, Florida here for a moment. Hear the waves crashing behind me. Hear the beauty of the sun. You can actually hear the sun. There is such a silence and peacefulness here. So where I'm staying in Vero is at the very end, not in the heart of the town, but at the very end where it's very quiet and there's not many people. I couldn't have picked a better spot. But getting on with our topic, for some of you who follow me on Mondays, the past, the present, and the future. And how do we get to this oneness? How do we liberate ourselves from the past entanglement? Now, that is a lot of work there to become grounded. How do we ground ourselves into becoming one with our truth, one with the present moment? There's so much to the present moment. A lot of people are hanging on to memories of the past and the fantasy of the future. There is no future, there is no past. Once you do the work, that is, that you can sustain and maintain the liberation of the present moment, which is your truth. But it takes work. It's something that you want to read more about, you want to listen to lectures about, and there's many people that, Eckhart Tolle in the Here and Now, and people like that, or Leonard Jacobson, that talk about this. And I've been to their lectures over the years living in Los Angeles. There was just always so much available on this topic. So we want to free ourselves from the imagined future, which is a past projection forward. It's nothing but a fantasy. Now, again, we have to have a future. We need to have ego. We have goals, ideals. We have to conceptualize what it is that having a conceptualization of forming and building a future for ourselves. If you're a student going to school, or if you're someone that's raising a family, and you're building and creating goals on how to have children or to have children. So I'm not saying that these are things that we want to not have. We definitely want to have our ideals and build our goals, conceptualize what it is, and have a vision for the future as well. But not to hang on to the past entanglement of pain that you may have been exposed to as a child. A lot of us come from families of divorce, and we're still hanging on or trying to fulfill the loss that is in us, trying to fill that void. Like the song Shallow. That's a perfect song. Trying to fill that void. So what I like for my students is that I teach them how to come into this moment and be present so that we can live and be more creative and be happier. Not that you don't want to have past memories and things like that, but this is just about your entire life. And again, there is no future. The true future does not exist in the world of the mind. It is only the present. Now again, like I said, if you're planning things, that's different. That's having a vision. That's something different. We're talking about the higher power sustaining the truth of oneness. And there is a wisdom in oneness. For a moment, let's take a breath. We're here in Vero Beach, Florida. It's Tuesday, Mondays with Anita, Discover Joyous Love, but I'm bringing it to you today. I was flying yesterday. Take a look at the gorgeous and hear the sounds of the wisdom in the waves here. This area is just a piece of heaven, I must say. And I'm still in the U.S. and I'm getting a piece of heaven. No COVID people out of their cages here. I feel like all of a sudden, back in Philadelphia, that everyone has just come out of their cage since COVID. The city has gotten noisier for some reason. It seems noisier. I believe it's because everything is in full swing again. How about that? How we got connected to silence and peace over that lockdown. And that in itself was transformational work to teach you how to go in and become one with yourself, especially those who live alone and had to stay in and couldn't go out for a year. it was the prime metaphysical teaching for you to understand what oneness and silence is all about. And in silence, there's a darkness. Silence is something that has words to it. It has the power of words, the hidden voice. And within the silence, you can bring up the words that are there once you connect to the present moment, the truth. Now, I have a podcast, It's Your Voice, which will air next week, unless I can get it downloaded here from my cell phone. But I just decided to take a week off from all of that. It's Your Voice on Anchor FM. So getting back to how we can come into what we call the presence, the present moment. Here's a question. Are you an unconscious or conscious type person? Now, the way I see it, a lot of people are just unconscious. They have a lack of awareness, and they're just basically walking and moseying along unconsciously. But that's not a bad thing, because somewhere in there is a chaos that unfolds. And when this chaos unfolds, this is where the person becomes... Oops, I got a dog here with me. Some people on the beach. Good morning in Vero Beach. Once you unfold the unconscious is when it comes into the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is where you begin your action, your manifestation. So getting back to the present moment, we continually hang on to the past and fantasize about the future to avoid the present moment. What's really going on in your life right now? So take a moment. Are you conscious or unconscious? And if you're not familiar with what that means, again, it's just about hearing. It's about silence. It's about awareness. Well, we got lots of beach walkers this morning, a few. This is like a piece of heaven here. So how do we get to be in the present moment? First, it comes from willpower and discipline, and it comes from experiential pain. Now, when I was a child, I was very sick in a hospital. I had rheumatic fever, and I was away for a year, and I was away from family and other children, and I had to stay in the bed. They had to soak me in ice every night. And this is where I had my awakenings. And in my book, Live Free, I talk about that. That was my first book. My other book is the Donna Gentili story. But in the first book, I talk about how I became so connected to my aloneness that the aloneness was never really about being alone or lonely. It was just about me in the present now. And so that was an opportunity for me at that age to have developed such a sickness that separated me from the family and other children at school, that when I did return back to all of that, it seemed that I was something of a different person to them. And maybe that's where my uniqueness comes from, and maybe that is where it comes from. But I had the awakenings at a young age. You can have awakenings throughout your life. So to become in the present moment and transform, you have to connect to your old pain, or at least that's one way. And discipline and willpower are really they're words that are strong words. They're a strong way of connecting and being resilient at times. Expressing and releasing the old feelings. Needing the hurt anger, allowing your hurt anger to have a place. Give it space. Give that pain space. Bring it to the front. Emerge. Bring up those feelings of old anger. Because underneath that anger is the beauty of the sadness. But the sadness doesn't mean you're sad. The sadness is all about your creativeness, your power, your passion, your love. But it's all about who you are. And that's where your truth is. Oh, let's take a breath, folks. I'm out here, and it's just in Vero Beach, Florida. Take a look again. Connect to the ocean of oneness. And the ocean is such a beautiful place. Connecting to nature is another way to help yourself, go out and check out nature, water, greenery, whatever you can do, because it's all over you, even if you do live in the city. one of the big things is to seek forgiveness of those who hurt you and to seek forgiveness from the ones that you hurt. So take a moment and see or think about, reflect on who you may have hurt in your life, whether it be family members, lovers, people at work, or people that hurt you, or that dismissed you, that judged you, belittled you. Take a moment and forgive them for what they did and forgive yourself for what you did in hurting anyone. And that is the main thing here in attaining presence and truth. Another thing is to feel it, be it, live it, the anger. Anger is the juice that is going to awaken you. We must let that anger out. You know, I went to acting school in Los Angeles. I had a very good acting teacher, Joe Police, who passed on last year, and I went out to his memorial, but he was one of the best acting teachers in Los Angeles. And actually, he was born in Camden, New Jersey.